residents and friends of Liberia. Today, I want to speak to our citizens and the nation on an issue so grave and close to my heart and to the hearts of many parents. It is the issue of what I refer to as drug epidemic in Liberia. Over the past few weeks, I have consulted and extended appreciation to many Liberians and partners who continue to work tirelessly to support efforts aimed at mitigating the drug abuse tragedy by working with unsuspecting victims who have become chemically dependent on these substances. I would personally like to thank Reverend Philadoma of the Metro Harvest Church and Youth Connect Liberia, the online influencer, Ms. Josephine Colbert of Coffee with Jojo fame, and many others. The increase in exposure of Liberians, particularly the youth, to drug abuse, and the addiction through ready access to banned substances is not immediately arrested. We have enormous effect on the health, social, economic, and the security implications in this country. I view it as a threat to our national security and must be elevated to a national emergency. The statistic cannot be more stark. It is estimated that 2 in 10 youth in Liberia are users of narcotic substances. Some estimate that about 13% of the population is affected by drug addiction. The correlation between substance abuse and crimes is equally worrying, with the police reporting an increase in drug-related crimes. To support the overwhelming desire to continue using narcotics, these young people have lived in so-called ghettos strewn across the country, in cemeteries, on the streets, and in unsavory places, often result to crimes, including armed robberies. These crimes and their affected victims and those who commit them are heartbreaking because we know they are motivated by the grab for drugs. Currently, there are over 866 ghettos in Monrovia serving as homes to chronic drug users. These ghettos are associated with illicit activities, including launching files for drug-related crimes. Nationwide, everyone living in urban areas knows the location of at least one ghetto, with the increase in presence in most communities of strong over power lines, signifying that the ghetto is nearby. Drug abuse and subsequent addiction is a scourge with a dire consequences. This is a major cause of a loss of future for many of our young people. Abusers of drugs are prone to medical health illnesses and high suicidal tendencies, and may also die prematurely due to drug overdose. As already mentioned, dependency on drugs often leads to crimes which put both the users and society in peril. These young people are stigmatized and face harsh societal isolation. And at this rate, the country's potential demographic dividend stemming from a substantially young population faces an existential threat. with Liberia at a risk of losing its positive, productive manpower base, especially given the high rate of school dropouts among young users. Our country is gradually losing its next generation of drug youth, and if practical actions are not taken urgently, the prospect of future generations inheriting a more complex and challenging national situation looms large. The country stands to face a possible future of increased crime rate, unemployment, increased sexual and gender-based violence, HIV/AIDS, teenage pregnancy, and TB are just a few of the challenges. We are fast gaining notoriety as a transshipment country for the illicit quarters, but the country is shamefully appearing now as a narco state. The country's weak law enforcement capacity, porous borders, the proximity to major drug transit routes have to contribute to the trafficking through Liberia. The recent seizure of 100 million United States dollars worth of drugs, the trial saga that ensued, and the mysterious and unexplained departure from the country of all those who stood trial and acquitted is an indication of the extent to which the country has been rapidly exposed in the last few years to narcos trade and the vulnerability of Liberian society to that impact, such as large-scale assault by international criminal enterprises. Significantly, it revealed the failure of national leadership, the weak and criminal justice system, and crucially raises suspicion about the probable complicity of some higher ups in this affair. Clearly, it is now obvious that the Weir administration is incapable, unwilling, complicit, and indifferent to this crisis. They don't see it as the post-Liberian see it, a national emergency. This is why a change in the national leadership is and should be now. We must see our vote as an opportunity to, one, reverse this dangerous trend by saving our children and securing the future. We will address the grave situation by providing responsible leadership that will institute appropriate measures to bring hope to the young victims of this epidemic, relieve hurting families, and assurances to frankly a sharp society. It will include declaring it not just as an emergency, but a national security crisis situation, and must be arrested through a system-wide approach. This means looking at the crisis and determining the extent to which the future of the provisions of public goods, social services delivery, weaknesses in the criminal justice system, and the inadequacy of the public health system have all conspired to contribute to what may yet to be the biggest threat to the society after the Civil War. To this end, we will first and immediately undertake the establishment of a rehabilitation and integration program with the best professionals aimed at providing some of the best clinical care for those who have become addicted and dependent on these chemical substances. These programs will also be coordinated with the nonprofit organizations and other individuals currently engaged in small-scale interventions such as non-clinical and limited drug treatment services for the substance users in Nigeria. Second, we will develop an all-encompassing public health program focused on information, education, and research in combating drug and substance abuse. The program will target schools and communities to prevent and protect young people from falling prey to the drugs use. In this way, the system is able to equip those mainly targeted by drug desire to develop resiliency to resist the menace of having stranglehold on our youth. Third, but not least, we will strengthen the law enforcement to deal with the sources of drug problem in our country. For years, the criminalization of this epidemic targeted drug use and addicts, allowing drug dealers and their criminal network to operate under the radar of the law. In my view, the most egregious of the drug offenders are those who make the drugs, ship them to our shores, and others who sell them locally to our children. The criminals who operate along the supply chain of the trade. The aim of our law enforcement strategy will be to disrupt the supply of drugs to this country. In this regard, we promise to enact very strong laws that will severely punish traffickers and their middlemen who operate in an open market by offering maximum prison sentences. We will go after those criminals and smoke them from their hideout. In this fight, robust legislation, training, and adequate resources will be aimed at supporting the National Drug Enforcement Agency, the EA, to work with the Liberia National Police, the National Immigration Services, and Border Patrol to control the prevalence of the drug problem in our country. Fellow Liberians, you will agree with me that drug use and related crimes have affected nearly every family and threaten to undermine the very values of our society. We must not allow this to happen. The scale of the drug problem shows the government's nonchalant attitude towards one of the most critical issues confronting Liberia today. They have no plans to address it. I promise to declare war on drug trafficking and use when elected, which is why the decision you make on October 10th will be the one of the most consequential in your lifetime. I implore you to remain vigilant and to know that help is on the way to salvage our young people and society from the throes of epidemic. God bless you and save our nation. Thank you.